Supply chains are going to be an issue, and we must get our Atmanirbhar Bharat focus right. That certainly is the issue, and as General Khandare was saying, this is something the government is seized of. My colleague Aditya Raj Kaul has been tracking national security for a long time. Aditya, what is the takeaway for us in India from these two big wars that we are seeing right now?
Well, there are two priorities, not just from the war, but overall. We've seen, of course, the Atmanirbhar Bharat slogan being reinforced by the government, defense, indigenization really working over the last many years, even though, Kalam really gave the call for it in 1992. But I think it has really picked up over the last 7 to 10 years. Apart from that, what has also happened is the growing realization that an independent foreign policy will only happen when an Atmanirbhar Bharat is there in the defense sector.
Right.
It is not only about self-reliance, it's also about substitution of imports, really, that is happening, be it spare parts for a lot of your ammunition for the army, for the navy as well. And the Raksha Mantri has also spoken in detail about it, how we are going from strength to strength, and India will be certainly achieving those goals, not just importing, but making ourselves capable, strong, so that it reinforces a strong deterrent. Also at a time when we've been, speaking about a two-front war, a challenge of a two-front war that India could also face. So these two wars, the long wars that we are talking about, Russia-Ukraine has been going on forever, almost for about 20 months. And now the Israel-Hamas war, really, India may not choose for a war, but India has to be always prepared for one.
Right. That's an important point that Aditya made. So the fact that we need a independent foreign policy, and that can only come through an independent military-industrial complex of the kind that we're developing. Now, our defense imports have gone down substantially in the last 5 years, but we still remain the world's largest arms importer. By when do you think we could reverse this conundrum? The fact that we, despite for 10 years, we have this policy almost of wanting to be number one, as in wanting to be the self-sufficient in weapons manufacture, but we are still continuing to import arms.
I can't put a fixed timeline to that, but I'll tell you what is the complexity in this. When you're trying to manufacture something, at the same time, you look at how the technology changes. You are supposed to provide, it's a national responsibility to provide niche technology to your armed forces.
Right.
What is niche today, tomorrow does not remain niche. So it's a continuous spiral that keeps happening. So what you have today niche, and there is something which is emerging technology.
Right.
So you have to immediately get on to emerging technology while you are supplying the niche technology to the people who fight or who are prepared to fight. And then there is a third one, which is the incubating technology, which is still in the mind or somewhere in the laboratory.
In the future, way down in the future.
So if you are wanting the defense industrial complex to become extremely concurrent and strong,
right,
you have to get the R&D structure much more stronger than that.
Right.
If R&D structure is very agile and very concurrent, it is a visionary, it's a dreamer's world.
Right. Would you like to put a figure, a date onto, by when we would be self-sufficient largely in weapons?
See, how we have to look at it, first stage we have to do is to get out of that obsolescence cycle.
Right.
Today we are still stuck in that.
Obsolete.
We are stuck in that because we have to remove that part first.
Right.
That's a huge list. You yourself have been monitoring how the artillery we are trying to do the 155 mediumization.
Yes.
The long waiting list there.
Yep.
You also know how the armored vehicle, the desire for a light tank.
Right.
And these are things where if you induct something in the inventory, it stays with you for 20, 30, 40 years, which essentially no one will be able to give you a particular timeline to say, okay, this is the year. But at a national level, when a vision of Amrit Kal has been given, what is the whole idea of Amrit Kal?
Yes.
That instead of what you are planning annual budget, you are planning on a 5-year plan.
Right.
You've been told, okay, look, 25 years from now, 2047 is the time when we complete 100 years.
Right.
You better reach a position of what the Prime Minister says, Viksit or Surakshit Desh. So that's somewhere where we can say that we should reach a place where we should not be looking left or right.
Right. So is it fair to assume then that 2047 is a cutoff date for indigenization of India's?
Or earlier than that. See, you look at China. initially they said that 2049 was what date they had planned for.
Yes.
Then they brought it down to 2035. So if the pace of change or transformation exceeds what you had visualized, then you can compress the timelines.
Right.
But easier said than done. Possibly in an autocratic country it can be done. In a democratic country where there are so many other things which you have to see, there are elections, there are political compulsions,
Right.
there are labor laws, there is judiciary, there are so many things which are happening.
Right.
So while China may have done that compression, whether we'll be able to do it or not also depends much beyond the military or much beyond the Ministry of Defense, how
Right.
the nation is able to complement
Right.
by giving a suitable ecosystem.
In fact, we were just, Aditya and me were talking earlier about how China in the last 2 decades went from being the world's largest defense importer to the world's 5th largest defense exporter. And that's clearly a place that India wants to be in the next decade or so.
News9 Plus. Download now.